On the desolate expanse of a world they called Mundo de la Muerte, life was defined by endurance. The skies churned with perpetual storms, the air was toxic, and the ground burned with heat that could melt lesser beings. To the Zynthari, survival was the ultimate proof of their superiority. They had endured, adapted, and thrived where no other species could. Their bodies, scales as hard as steel and eyes sharp as blades, were perfect instruments of resilience. For as long as they could remember, they had believed they were alone in the universe, the chosen heirs of this barren, forsaken world. Their myths spoke of the gods abandoning them here to test their worth, a trial of endless suffering. To endure was to prove they were divine. To fail was to vanish. There was no room for weakness in their creed. Every Zynthari was a warrior, a hunter, and a survivor. Anything less was not tolerated. The legends also warned of omens, the burning sky and the soundless thunder that heralded the end of a cycle. It was this omen that appeared when the object fell from the heavens. A streak of fire cut across the poisoned sky, crashing into the jagged terrain with an explosion that echoed through their lands. From the great council chambers of the Zynthari leaders, all eyes turned to the horizon. What could it mean? The elders debated fiercely. Some claimed it was divine punishment for their hubris, a wrathful judgment from the gods. Others, more pragmatic, suspected a natural occurrence, something that could be harnessed or destroyed. But one voice, deep and commanding, rose above the rest. Vorath, a chieftain known for his cunning and ruthlessness, dismissed superstition. "It is neither divine nor natural," he declared. "It is unknown. And the unknown must be conquered." A scouting party was dispatched, armed with weapons forged in the planet's volcanic heat. They approached the site cautiously, their reptilian eyes scanning for danger. The landscape around the crash site was scorched, the air thick with metallic fumes. Whatever had fallen here was unlike anything they had seen before. At the center of the impact, they found a shattered object, its surface gleaming unnaturally under the pale light of their sun. And then they saw them, figures moving among the wreckage. They were small, frail-looking creatures wrapped in strange armor. The Zynthari watched from a distance, their senses heightened, their claws ready. The figures moved with purpose, communicating in a language of gestures and muffled sounds. They appeared to be repairing something, using tools the Zynthari could not fathom. Vorath's eyes narrowed as he observed them. These creatures were not gods, nor were they predators. They were something else entirely. How had such fragile beings survived the descent into Mundo de la Muerte? How could they walk its surface, breathe its poison, and still move with such determination? The answer eluded him, but one thing was certain: this was no random occurrence. The strangers from the stars had come with purpose. The air turned thick with an ominous hum as the ground beneath them trembled. Vorath and his scouts froze, their eyes darting to the horizon where dark clouds churned unnaturally fast. The humans, too, seemed to sense the shift. They abandoned their work and began moving with urgency, gathering tools and devices while shouting commands to one another. The Zynthari had seen this before. A storm was coming, not an ordinary storm, but one of the planet's infamous acid tempests. It was a death sentence to anyone caught in the open. The scouts looked to Vorath for direction. He hesitated, glancing at the humans who were now rushing toward a rocky outcrop, dragging what appeared to be parts of their vessel with them. "They'll never make it," one scout muttered. "Leave them. Let the storm decide their fate." Vorath ignored him. His mind was at war with itself. Every instinct told him to retreat to the safety of their stronghold, to let these strange creatures be consumed by the world they had dared to enter. And yet, a sliver of doubt gnawed at him. If these beings were capable of surviving the crash and moving with such purpose, perhaps they were capable of more. Before he could issue an order, the first drops of acid rain began to fall. They sizzled against the ground, releasing noxious fumes that thickened the air. The humans had reached the outcrop, but it offered little protection. Vorath watched as one of them, a smaller figure likely weaker, collapsed, their companions dragging them toward some kind of makeshift shield. "Chieftain," a scout pressed. "We must go now." But Vorath's gaze remained fixed on the humans. He made a decision. "Follow me," he barked, his tone leaving no room for argument. The Zynthari moved swiftly, closing the distance to the humans. The creatures reacted immediately, one raising what appeared to be a weapon. Vorath held up a clawed hand, mimicking the humans' earlier gesture of open palms. The weapon was lowered, though their postures remained tense. Without words, Vorath pointed to the far side of the outcrop, where the rock formed a natural overhang. He motioned for the humans to follow, his expression hard but his intent clear. The humans hesitated for only a moment before complying, dragging their injured companion and equipment behind them. Once under the overhang, the humans produced a device that emitted a faint hum and an expanding field of light. To the Zynthari's astonishment, the acidic droplets striking the field evaporated harmlessly. The humans gestured for the Zynthari to join them under its protection. The scouts exchanged uneasy glances, but Vorath stepped forward, leading the way. As the storm raged around them, the Zynthari and humans huddled together in tense silence. The device was small, but its ingenuity was undeniable. It had turned a hopeless situation into one of survival. Vorath's respect for these creatures deepened. They were not just survivors, they were innovators able to bend even this hostile world to their will. He realized that the human strength was not in their bodies but in their minds, their ability to adapt and create. For the first time, he wondered if the Zynthari could learn from them.